Hi YouTube, welcome to another edition of Horror Hands, and this is going to be the top 10 underrated horror movies. So I've picked out a variety of films. I've gone for movies that you probably will have heard of, but I just feel they should get more recognition. And then I've gone for movies that I hardly hear anyone talk about. In a couple of cases I've never heard anybody talk about. So this is the top 10, in my opinion, underrated horror films. So number 10 is one of the more recognisable ones, The Faculty. I'm sure a lot of people will have seen this one. I just think that this is an excellent movie, really well made. I love the story of the teaching staff becoming aliens. I really like the young and upcoming cast in this movie. I thought they did a great job. They're not annoying. Equally, I like the more experienced cast members. So you've got like Robert Patrick and Piper Laurie, who do a great job. They don't feel out of place. The effects are pretty good. And I just love that this is like a late 90s movie, and it captures that late 90s vibe. Not all movies do it. I'm not sure how some manage to and how some don't, but this one really encapsulates that late 90s time period, which was a great time. So yeah, this one it is a popular film. I just feel it should get a little more recognition because it's a brilliant film. So I wanted to add this one onto the list. So at number 10 is The Faculty. Number 9, probably an equally recognisable film, and that's Ravenous. But this one is absolutely fantastic. This has such a unique story, part cannibalism, part vampire. I really like how it takes place in the old, I want to say like pilgrimage time. That's probably not the right way to say it, but really in the old-fashioned times. Makes great use of the elements and the cold surroundings. Brilliant performances from the cast. It's a bunch of actors who are really accomplished and really on top of the game while doing this movie. And again, I don't hear bad things about this film. I just don't hear many things about this film. So highly recommended. Really, really great. Like I say, cannibal vampire type movie. Yeah, really good stuff. So number 9 is Ravenous. Number 8 is Deep Rising, a movie that I've always thought was just really, really great. It's a great film, really well made, action-packed. It's funny, it's witty. The characters in it are very, very likeable. But again, you just don't hear that many people. I hear good things about it, but again, like Ravenous, I don't hear many things about it. Now, when I sort of read a bit about this film, I found that it, like a lot of movies at the time, it didn't do very well because it was released in the shadow of Titanic. And the trouble with this movie is it was another kind of disaster movie set on a boat, but you know, Titanic was dominating the box office and that kind of movie. So this kind of sank a little bit, no pun intended. But every time I watch it, I'm highly entertained by it, and I just think more people should watch it and talk about it because it's a really, really good movie. Excuse me. So number 8 is Deep Rising. Number 7 is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. And this is one that does get some love, but for me, this is my favourite of the series. I really love this movie. It sits in between Part 1 and Part 3, which seem to be the majority of people's favourites, which I can accept that. They're both great films. But I've always really liked what they did in this movie. I like how Freddy Krueger, he's still somebody that invades your dreams and controls you through your dreams, but they introduce like an element of body horror in this as well, like where he comes out of Jesse's stomach and that kind of thing. I like Jesse the character. I like how a lot of this takes place in the high school and things like that, and I love the scene where Freddy Krueger invades the pool party. That was just fantastic. So yeah, I've always really loved this part of the Nightmare on Elm Street series. For me, it's better than parts 1 and 3 and any of the others. So I wanted to include it on the list. Right, now get into the ones now which I very rarely hear people talk about. So at number 6 is Altered. And this is another great movie. Alien invasion. These guys, 4 or 5 guys, they have an alien experience a while back, which has kind of affected them as it would, and a group of them want to go back and find the alien life and prove that it happened, and there's an element of wanting to take revenge on the aliens and things like that. And they do actually, in fact, find and catch one of the aliens in the woods and bring it back to one of the guys' houses. But it leads to all kind of problems, and terror ensues as a result of what they do. But it's a really good film, very well written. The development of the story and the twists and turns that happen are fantastic. There's some great gory effects in this film. Played straight, but done really well. I really enjoyed it, and like I say, don't hear many people talk about this one. So number 6 is Altered. Number 5 is a film called Masks, and I haven't really heard anyone talk about this. I've read a couple of things about it. I've heard it described as the German answer to Suspiria, which I can kind of see. It is a German film, and it's about a woman who goes to a acting school, and this acting school has a reputation of pushing people kind of beyond their limits, beyond their physical and mental limits, in order to turn them into great actors, if you will. But it's got a very dark side to it, which is explored in this film. But a really good film. I've only watched it once, and it was a while ago, but I was really impressed with it. I thought it was very well made, very effective, very creepy. But again, don't hear anyone talk about it. So number 5 is Masks. Right, number 4 is The Horrors of Party Beach. So it's a monster movie, a little bit more on the silly side now, but one that I found really entertaining. For anyone who's seen Humanoid from the Deep, if you imagine Humanoid from the Deep made in the 60s, this will be the result. So there's a lot of kind of 60s culture in it. There's a lot of like Beach Boys type music going on, and dancing on the beach and that kind of thing. The monsters do look a bit silly, they're a bit rubbery, but when it comes to the monsters attacking and killing people, they're not afraid to throw in quite a bit of blood and violence and things like that. For a 60s movie, it does kind of bring it in those kind of elements. And I was just highly entertained by this film. I really liked it. So yeah, definitely wanted to add it on the list. So number 4 is The Horrors of Party Beach. Right, number 3 is a movie that just blew me away when I watched it, and it's The Last Horror Movie. This is a found footage film. It's a serial killer, very intelligent, very articulate person, and he goes around killing people and documenting his actions, and he sort of justifies, if you will, sort of why he does it and why he's so good at it, that kind of thing. Really kind of narcissistic, egotistical guy, but very intelligent and strangely watchable in a way. You really do kind of warm to him in a strange way. But what is really unique about this film, and I can't really talk about it too much, is they take the found footage and indeed the horror genre itself and just turn it on its head completely. And I was like, I did not see that coming. I can't say too much about it, but watch it, check it out. It is a fantastic film and very, very original in what it does. So yeah, number 3 is The Last Horror Movie. Now number 2 is a film, I cannot believe this film is not talked about more than what it is. I bought this as a blind buy. I found it in CEX and just picked it up, and I was astounded as to how good this was. And I was more astounded that I'd never heard anybody talk about it. And it's The Woman. This is incredible. This movie is unbelievable. I was hooked from start to finish. It's the story of a family, seemingly well-to-do normal family, who find a feral woman walking around in the woods. They bring her back to their house, but they proceed to chain her up and keep her as a pet almost. So there's a real dark element to this, but the story, and in particular the characterization, the character development in this is some of the best I've ever seen. It is absolutely brilliant, and there's a lot of who is the real savage going on, but it's just amazing. It is absolutely amazing, and I do not remember hearing anyone talk about this film. I just thought it was amazing. So at number 2 is The Woman. I highly recommend checking this one out. It's a very good, very clever, very well made film. So my number 1 film for the most underrated horror movie is Blood for Dracula. So a movie from the 70s. Udo Kier plays Dracula, and in this film he's like dying. His life force is deteriorating because he can't find any virgin blood. So he decides to travel to, I think it's Italy, where he's promised sort of a lot more fresh victims. And he goes to like this aristocratic family where this guy's got like 4 or 5 daughters. And he says to him, like, you know, you can, he wants to get them married off. He's desperate to get his daughters married off. So this is a chance for Dracula to, like, meet one and get some virgin blood, basically. But they keep having encounters with the gardener, which ruin the Count's chances, if you know what I mean. The gardener's played by Joe D'Alessandro. And it's crazy, but it's brilliant. And this movie manages to be both really, really sleazy, but beautifully aristocratic and classy at the same time. It has a really unique style about it. Udo Kier as well, he manages to be both really cheesy and throw in lots of overacting, yet you really do feel sorry for the Count. You feel for him. It's an amazing performance, an amazing film, and I've never heard anyone talk about this. I very rarely see this in anybody's collection, but it's one that I really, really enjoyed. This one has a kind of a sister film, if you will, with Flesh for Frankenstein. That one seems to be a bit more well known. In the UK, it was a video nasty here, so it has a bit more notoriety. But Blood for Dracula, I never hear anyone talking about, and it's a wonderful, wonderful film. So that was my top 10 underrated horror films. Do you agree with them? Do you not agree? Was the other films that are more underrated that I should have put on the list? Let me know. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.